It's Derek here, and I'm from Pacific Coast Auto, but this is my personal channel. So welcome everybody who is not familiar with this channel, and we'll jump right into the questions. Now, we do the question cast once a week, but last Sunday's question cast was a little bit of a mistake because it ended up that I ran out of batteries halfway through, and because I had nothing else to post, I posted the half-posted video. And we do the questions on the voice recorder, and in that case, there was a question that was asked, and it cut off before I could say the answer to it. And so we're going to do this as just a mini question cast, kind of a half-size one, just answering all the questions that were missed from last week. So let's start right away.
Second question. My cousin has Down syndrome and he's 13. His dad never speaks about living with a son that has that. Is it normal for the upbringing, or do you have to do special things to care for him?
The reason why this person asked me about this, you know, it's kind of funny because this is a personal channel. People are allowed and welcome to ask me anything about my personal life that they want. Most of the questions have to do with my company because that's what most people are interested in, but certainly you can ask me something about my personal life. And my son has Down syndrome, and he's just about 4 years old. He'll actually turn 4 years old in less than a month here. And he can't speak yet. He mostly grunts, and similar to many children with Down syndrome, he gets frustrated easily. He's not toilet trained yet, as is very common for Down syndrome children. But he's a very cheerful person. He gets along very well with all the children at his daycare. He makes friends easily. He's really fun to be around. And so I think with any child who's got disabilities, yes, of course, there's going to be some things that make it more difficult than a standard child. But for those of you who don't have children, you probably don't know, but raising children is really difficult, and you get used to it once you have your kids, or at least you try to as much as you can. And having a child with a disability, I can say firsthand for raising somebody with Down syndrome, I don't know about other disabilities, but there are more challenges than a standard child, but you get accustomed to it. I think that we only think about his disability a couple of times a week or so now. We're very used to him just being part of the family as he is. The person who posted this, I thought it's pretty interesting that they were saying that they have a cousin who has Down syndrome, because this is something that a lot of people don't realize, but if you know somebody who's got Down syndrome, you're in a very good position to make things better for everybody. And the best thing that you can do is go and spend time with these people or these children who have Down syndrome or any other disability. And it's not as annoying as you might think it is at first, especially once you get to know the person and you get to realize that underneath the disability there's a unique person there, and a lot of times it's a great person. And certainly children with disabilities might get frustrated, sometimes they can get violent, sometimes it can be not fun to be around, but not only will the child really get a lot out of it, but also if their parents are really going to enjoy that. Because I think myself and a lot of the other people with disabilities find it very difficult to make friends with your children, because you know, some people are kind of idiots and they just don't want to hang around with people who have disabilities, and other people are afraid of what they might say that might anger you or might seem disrespectful. You know, a lot of people don't know. They don't want to step on people's toes. It creates kind of conflict. Parents of children just, you know, they need support, and the best thing that you can do is to just be there and hang out with them and have fun, or go on a picnic or something. And so I can say this from my point of view. I don't know how everyone else feels about this, and I'm certainly not the authority on what you should do in a situation like this, but whatever you can do to be around those people is going to be very beneficial, to say the least. In terms of raising my son, we love him as much as we love our other two children, and he is a big big pleasure to be around, and always smiling and always bringing a smile to my face. And he's got a really funny sense of humor. And he's trying to make people laugh all of the time. And so it's wonderful. Okay, so next question.
Philip Calville says, "Hi, my name is Philip and I'm 13 and I've been thinking about my first car to buy. I was wondering how much a good AE86 costs."
Oh, there was a PS there, but I cut it off. I recorded these questions a week ago, and so I don't remember what any of them are, so just going off the top of my head here. If you're 13 and you're thinking about your first car, you still have a little bit of extra time. And I think a lot of people like to nail down what car they want to get first, but that's not always the car that falls into your lap, because when you're a young person and it's your first car, you usually don't have an awful lot of money to throw at it, and so you get whatever's within budget. For me, I got my first car when I was 18. And the reason why I didn't get a car at 16, which is when you can get your license in BC, Canada, was because I wanted to save up for my personal favorite car, which was an Austin Mini. I saved up money and I got one, and it was a great car. Now, like the AE86, which is another car that I've also had, I daily drove the car for quite some time, a couple of years, but it was never actually my car, so I can't say it's mine. It was my soon-to-be wife's car. And the nice thing about having kind of an older car is that it's simple mechanically, and things will go wrong on an old car. And so it can teach you a lot about mechanics of a car, about taking care of a car, and it's not something that's going to break the bank if it breaks or you do something stupid with it, which is pretty important, because if you're interested in mechanics and you want to jump into these projects yourself, you're going to make mistakes. And it's nice to make a mistake on a 4AG engine, which is not super valuable, more so than, for example, if it was an RX-7 FD, which probably is more expensive to fix. And so, that being said, is the AE86 a good first car? In that respect, yes. However, they're very expensive for what you get, and they are usually in very poor condition. Rust is a big problem, and I know a lot of people, for their first car, they like to jump into body work, because first cars often have rust. Body work is really difficult to do and a challenge to teach yourself. And if you're an idiot and you don't wear a mask, a lot of those chemicals can be really bad for you. And so when I was younger, I did a lot of body work on cars. Well, I can't say an awful lot, but I did do some. And I was probably stupid and inhaled chemicals. So keep that in mind. Here's the PS part of that question.
Yes, love your videos.
Oh, thank you.
Grand Camino 6 says, "Is it possible to import an Evo 6 into the U.S. legally? There's one driving around the streets here in California, but when I ran the plate with the California DMV Smart History site, I was surprised to see that it comes up registered as a Mirage. It's definitely not a Mirage. Good job in your videos."
Thank you for saying good job in the videos. And this one is an interesting one. So the Evo 6, no, you can't import them into the US. That's not to say that there aren't Evo 6s in the US, they're just illegally imported. Very, very high chance that this is not an illegal import into California, because registering in California is very difficult because of the CARB requirements. Even if you buy a 25-year-old car from Japan, it's difficult to register. To give you an example, the AE86 that we were just talking about, the Hachidoku, they came with a completely different emissions setup than the rest of the 49 states in the USA, because California is very strict with emissions. And this was back in 1985 was the first year of the 86 in the US. And so, yeah, what this car was, and here's something that probably a bunch of people don't know, but the Mitsubishi Evo 4, 5, and 6 are based off of the US version of the Mitsubishi Mirage. And when I say US version, it's just that I I don't know the name of that car in Japan because we don't really have them anymore. And the Mirage nameplate is on a different car, so it's a little bit confusing. But the Mitsubishi Mirage is in fact the Lancer Evolution minus the four-wheel drive system that has the active differentials, minus the turbocharged 2-liter engine, minus parts of the interior like the really nice Recaro seats, the Brembo brakes, the rear wing, the body kit, the wide fenders. Underneath all of that, there's a really pedestrian Mitsubishi Mirage. And so, what Mirage owners do is they take all of the JDM cool parts and they put them onto their Mirage. And it looks exactly like an Evo because it is Evo parts. They fit right on. And so, the car you saw was most likely a Mirage that has been converted over to look like an Evo. Some people go all out and will put the drivetrain in from the Evo, but that's not super common because it's just so much more complicated than slapping on body panels.
The squall says, what's the price of a good condition 180SX? Also, the 180SX is an S chassis, but it doesn't really carry the Sylvia name. Why is that?
Actually, I just posted another video. I should have let that guy in. I just posted another video about the S13, and this is funny because I wasn't even thinking about this question. But the S13s, for a good condition street version, you're looking at about 500,000 to 800,000 yen plus export fees, which, if you are wondering about that, it depends on your country, so email me about that. It's usually 100,000 yen for a service fee plus shipping of about 150,000 yen, depending on your country. So why is the 180SX called an S13 when it's not a Sylvia? Well, Sylvia, here's a little bit of a background. Sylvia's been around since the 60s, and they had a number of generations, I think 3 or 4 generations before the S13. There's an S12, and there's an S10, and then there's one that's like a 110 or something. I don't know. I don't know the chassis designation for the very first generation one. But there were 2 different versions. There was the Sylvia, which was the regular version, and then a car called the Gazelle, I think? I don't know. But the Gazelle only lasted until the S12. And then when the Gazelle went away, the 180SX took over the nameplate of that. And so there have always been 2 S chassis cars. And the 180SX became that one. Actually, in Japan, interesting. So in the US, there's the S13, the S14, no S15. In the US, they had the S13 was the 180SX, the one with the flip-up headlights. It was called the 240SX in the USA, but the headlights matched the Japanese version, the 180SX. Sorry for being confusing here. I'm trying to work this out in my head. The S14 that they had in the States, they also called the 240SX. But that one, instead of being based off of the 180, was based off of the Sylvia. And so this is where part of the confusion comes in, because 2 cars of the same name in the US actually had different names in Japan. And then the S14 and the S15 were both called Sylvias in Japan, and the S13 180SX lasted during the same time as the S14. So this is pretty interesting. You could go into a Nissan dealership and you could buy an S13 or an S14 at the same time, which is something that I don't think that you could do in the States.
And one more question. Have you ever been in a car accident in Japan, or nearly?
I've never been in a car accident in Japan. I have almost been in a car accident a few times, but let me say that drivers in Japan are way better at driving than drivers in Canada or the US, from what I've seen. And I think part of the reason is because Japanese roads are much more difficult to drive on than your typical road back home, because they're narrower, twistier, more cars, more complicated. There are a lot of times where you'll be driving on the road and the road that you're on will turn into a turning lane only road, so you have to quickly get into the other lane. And this is particularly the case in the big cities like Osaka, Nagoya, Yokohama, or Tokyo. There's a police car right in front of me. It's a Toyota Crown. And that's probably a funny segue into the reason why I don't get into accidents, and it's because I don't drive like an idiot, and I don't speed. almost ever. The only time that I ever go higher than the speed limit is about 10 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. I don't really have a desire to drive faster than the speed limit. I don't want to race on the roads, and I think that if you do race on the roads, you're... How can I put this lightly? I was going to say you're an idiot, but the thing is a lot of people are an idiot until they know better. So it's not a permanent thing. So if you like street racing, you are a non-idiot in training, so to speak. Because when I was younger, I did all the stupid things too. And although I'm only 32 years old right now, I hopefully don't do as many stupid things anymore.
Anthony Sinet says, that's cool that you posted a video with your children. Is there anything that you and your family miss from North America, particularly something from the USA?
Yeah, actually, a number of people have asked me if they could send me stuff after seeing that video, and it's kind of funny. Certainly, if you send me stuff, then I would like it. I don't want to ask for you to send me stuff, but, you know, some people like to do that kind of thing for the YouTube channels that they support. It's pretty common for people who make a career out of YouTubing to have that sort of thing. If you, and let me just confirm, we don't make any money off of this channel. There's no advertising on it, and there never will be, and so this isn't something that we really want to push. I just do this because people enjoy the channel, and it gives my customers really a way to see me personally, which you normally wouldn't get to see out of most companies. So I think that it's a really cool thing. If you want to send me stuff, what do I like? I don't know. I've been away from Canada and Japan for coming on 9 years now. I don't really know. You can surprise me if you want to send me stuff. Certainly, if you want to get a good reaction, then send stuff that an 8-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son would like to open up, because they got really excited about the unboxing. Excuse me.
Config T says, can you post your address so I can send you some stuff from Arizona?
Yeah, that's kind of the same answer, so I'm not really going to go into that. If you want my address, I can say it now. It's 1-33-108 Omaru Suzuki-ku, Yokohama-shi, Kanagawa Ken, 2240061. And if you don't know how to spell any of that, it's actually in the info section of this channel. And so you go to go onto the channel page, and you go to press the info button, and then you can find my address there. If you really want to send me stuff, I really, really appreciate it if you send me stuff. I think that it's really awesome, but I don't want to sound like I'm asking for free stuff. I think that's kind of an idiot thing.
Question. Jetix says, why are you in Japan?
Okay, that was the final question. I'm in Japan because of kind of unique circumstances here. I got married to my wife in Canada, and my wife was an exchange, well, sort of an exchange student. My wife was an exchange student in high school. She went to 2 years of high school in Colorado and Texas, and then she came to Canada and did 1 year of high school in Canada, and then she went to the same university for 4 years in my city. And so I met her in high school, but I didn't know her very well in high school, and then we kind of met in university, kind of about halfway through. We dated for a while, we got married, and then when she was done school, she has to decide what she wants to do. She could try to get residency in Canada if she wanted, but she wanted to move back home. And this worked out really nicely for me, because I was finishing my school, and my intention was to start a company. And moving to Japan gives me opportunities for a company that other people don't have, because I can speak fluent English, and Japanese people usually can't. And so that's how it started. I wanted to start up a company that was within my interests, and this company works perfectly for me because I love cars, I love the car markets, I love older cars, which is what I deal in mostly, and I get to be around some of the all-time best cars ever made. So this is a pretty awesome job. And so that's going, I guess it was just a natural thing, you know. She wanted to come back to Japan, I wanted to start the company. I could start this company on pretty low funds comparatively to other companies, and so we decided to move here and start the business. Okay, so that's going to be the end, and there's actually going to be 2 question casts this week because this one is the makeup, and then there's going to be the next one that's going to be posted on Sunday, and I'm going to make sure of that this time. So thank you very much for watching, and we're going to end it there. Bye-bye.